Hey Kaiju fans, so today I'll be opening this Godzilla Jr. by X-Plus. I think it's about a 30 centimeter scale. Just got this in the mail as a pre-order item. I'm really excited to share this with you and our other fans who maybe want to pick one up yourself. So I'll go ahead and open this up shortly here. Okay, let's go ahead and get this guy opened up. Okay, now we've got them unpacked. Let's get them built up here. Okay, got them all put together here. Wow, alright, so first of all, this is the largest Godzilla Jr. I have ever seen. I don't think there's another one that is comparable to this size. They typically are pretty small, and the scale is more comparable to like the 6-inch size, but I think this one's about 11 inches tall, and then fully put together he is about 13 inches long, so it's a pretty large figure and certainly the biggest junior that I've ever seen ever. So I guess my first reaction is like, this presents so much more detail than any other of the junior figures out there, because they're always kind of more toys. They're much smaller scale. They're nowhere near as intricate, and yeah, just top to bottom, it just is just kind of amazing. To be honest with you, I just don't know really if I have particular words to describe it at this point, but this is, you know, very exciting and something that I would have really wanted to have as a younger person. So one thing I just kind of noticed here is, I guess in terms of the actual figure and the style itself, his legs are actually pretty long and limber and kind of less robust than, I guess, his father, if you want to call it, the bigger full-scale Godzilla. But yeah, he's kind of got this aggressive arc here to his knee and his structure here. And even though I don't think he necessarily jumps in the movie at all, it feels much more lean and maybe even dinosaur-like as opposed to creature-like. And I think that was really interesting, to be quite honest. I will point out that the nails are almost translucent in a way. They kind of have this sort of a sheen to it, so there is a lot of differentiation between the nails itself and the foot. And if I were to even just kind of look closely here for just a moment, let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit here. These almost look like real creature nails. Now granted, you know, the foot is all fictional, but it's just like, if I were to see this out of context, I would think this was maybe some kind of like a real creature. So I think that's very interesting. Okay, kind of moving to the more top of the figure now. So his profile is a lot thinner than I remember it being, and maybe it's because I haven't seen the movie in a while now. It's been probably at least a few years, but yeah, his neck is actually pretty slender, and you could obviously see I guess the immature qualities of this guy in comparison to, you know, the real Godzilla. And you can kind of see his fins starting to pop out here. It's almost like a teenager, you know, just sort of starting to grow into himself and eventually become the big guy with a little push from you know, that nuclear meltdown in the movie. But yeah, it's this kind of a interesting bridge between this one and the more smaller Godzillas, like the Godzilla, baby Godzilla, and the you know, kind of those like really diminutive creatures, and then you talk about the Godzilla. So yeah, very interesting transition, I think, between those two. And color-wise, most of the figure is kind of this darker green, but if you kind of look closely here, there's more of a tannish army green of his chest, and yeah, it's very much like a dinosaur. And you know, I think Toho did a terrific job in kind of creating this figure and just being able to put it into the movie. You know, and I do recall in the movie that he is overwhelmed at times by Destoroyah, and yeah, even though he does appear to be pretty strong and malicious in his own right, he's still not the big guy yet. So this is a again, a transition between maturity and kind of a juvenile sort of status. And then last thing I'll point out here is his snout. It's pretty elongated, to be honest with you all guys. I think it's just kind of consistent with sort of the rest of the body, and that the rest of the body is rather slender and sleek and thin, and I think his snout is also reminiscent of that. So if you were to kind of look closely here, you could be mistaking it for like almost an alligator Godzilla, if you will, because he's got the same irises as the big guy, but nevertheless a more serpentine kind of look, if that sort of makes sense. Okay, so I think maybe, if I were to kind of grade this figure, and certainly it's very subjective, I think the build quality is terrific. It's probably, a 10 out of 10 as far as like how it looks in comparison to other figures out there, so I don't think there's any comparison. Even though Godzilla Jr. is not one of my favorite figures out there, I think it does have a lot of aesthetic quality if you want to sort of add it to your collection, because again, these are not as ubiquitous as some of the other offerings that are out there for X-Plus or Bandai or any of the other figure companies. So yeah, I would definitely pick one up myself. I'm going to be proudly putting this into my collection next to some of my other X-Plus figures. So yeah, I would recommend this figure if you can get your hands on it. I think it's relatively easy to find, at least in North America, through the X-Plus website, but I'm not sure if they really carry other retailers. So yeah, maybe you'll have to do a little bit of searching. Okay, that about wraps it up. Yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.